Yeah, let's see here. That ought to work about right there. Come on in, pull up a chair, get you something to eat, or I hope you've already eaten, because if you haven't, you're going to be hungry. I don't normally eat lunch like this at home, but I figured we'd just have a meal together today, and I would discuss some of the changes that are about to take place in my own life. And I'd share with you a little recipe I kind of made up today. It looks pretty good. I'll have to take a bite of it and let you know if it's any good. But I've got some homemade ranch dressing here. I'm going to have a salad on the side. Man, if you don't make your own ranch dressing, at least out of a packet or something, that is so much. You just can't buy that in the store. So let me get my salad dressed. And I've already sliced off my lunch. I'll tell you about it. See who's here. Come on in, leave a comment. Thanks for tuning in. Here's what I'm having for lunch. I took a piece of backstrap, the loin out of a deer, and probably about this much of it. I don't know, maybe 8-9 inches. And I laid it on its side and I cut all the way through it, but not completely through it. So I cut the bottom third, I rolled it over, I cut that again. So basically I took a round piece of meat and rolled it out. And then when I rolled it out, I stuffed. I seasoned it with Italian seasoning, dry Italian seasoning. Then I laid down tomatoes right out of the garden, sweet peppers right out of the garden, onions that were grown in the garden. Then I took a couple pieces of salami and sliced them in half and laid them on top of the meat. And then I laid some pepper jack cheese in there. And then this is what you end up with. You ended up with it rolled up. I baked it for 2 hours at 350, wrapped in foil. And so by doing that, I kind of have a jelly roll, but without jelly on it. I got a deer meat roll. And so I got some of the juice out of it that's reduced down. I'm going to sprinkle that right over the top. Got it in my Maranatha Baptist cup. There. Now, let's see how we did. There's what it looks like. I don't know how well you can tell what all's in there. You get the idea. Let me live taste test. I don't have a recipe for this. I just made it up and decided if I was going to eat it, let's eat it on camera. And then I could tell you about what's going on with me. Oh my goodness. Man, I got to have a bite of salad just to get my mouth back to normal. Man alive, folks, I'm telling you. So the problem with deer meat is that in order to get it tender, you've got to cook it. But if you cook deer meat too long, you dry it out. So by rolling this deer steak out into a big flat piece of meat, I put in a little salami in there. I was just trying to put some kind of fatty meat in there. And so by doing that, that gives me a little fat on the inside. I put pepper jack cheese in there. There's fat on the inside. Tomatoes, a lot of moisture, peppers, onions. Man, it's so good. I might just turn y'all off and eat. Man, that's good. Let me have a little Diet Lipton tea to cleanse my palate. We'll run down who's in the side chat. If you haven't commented yet, let us know you're here. Man, you can taste the peppers and the onions, gives it a sweetness, and you really don't need a knife. I mean, I'm pulling that apart with my fork. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. All right. First 6 minutes is just me eating. But I told you what I eat, and I told you how I made it. So you've got the recipe. You guys can do it yourself. Let's go over a rundown who all's here. Uncle Jim, Twisted Tine, 67 Rebel, Andy, Gone Fishing, Gibson 666, Braden Nelson Outdoors. There's a great channel. Go check him out. Bill Johnson, Georgia Boy 44, Roy Hubbard, Six Shooter Texan, Austin Presley, 243 Outdoors, and Ocean 374. Okay, if you were late to the game, I rolled out a deer backstrap, stuffed it, rolled it back up, baked it at 350 for 2 hours till it's just about to fall apart, then sliced it like a jelly roll. I'm having some homemade ranch dressing on my salad, and that's lunch. That is great. So let's get to what's going on with me. I know y'all love watching me eat, but you like watching me eat and fast forward where I'm really gobbling it up. And you can't do that and hear me talk at the same time. So Bolt Action Reloading, thanks for tuning in. The Chicken Coop, thanks for tuning in. All right. So my life is going to be different in the future. I'm having a I'm going through a real change. My occupation is changing. For nearly 14 years, I have been the pastor at Lee Creek Baptist Church in Van Buren, Arkansas. I came there in 2007, and I love the church. I've been there for, like I said, nearly 14 years. I expected to spend the rest of my life as the pastor at Lee Creek, and there's no problems there. Everything's great. The only difference is the Lord has given me a different calling. And so what's happened is I'm going to be leaving the pastorate at Lee Creek. And that wouldn't be a big deal if I were just going somewhere else to pastor at another church, but that's not the case. What I will be doing is more like a missionary. I will be working with small churches, struggling churches, churches that can't keep a pastor, or really where nobody wants to be the pastor. And I will be going to those churches and trying to help them with some issues, try to figure out what the problem is, what's hindering their church, and then help them find a pastor. So it's kind of like revitalizing churches before they die. The popular thing to do today is to get church planners and go out and plant a new church. And so you've got all these new churches popping up everywhere. And preachers like to go out and plant a new church because they don't have to deal with any of the existing problems. They like to just go and not have to put up with grandma and grandpa and Uncle Billy and all the people that have been there for years. And they like to just show up and start from scratch and build their own church. And that is that is not a bad thing to do, to go start a church, but it's a very unpopular thing to do, to go to churches where nobody wants to go and say, here, let's see if we can fix what's going on. Let's try to find the problem, and let's work to resolve it. And that takes time, and that takes somebody that's pastored a while. That's not something you come right out of seminary and go do. That's something that you really have to have some experience to do. And most people that have experience, they're at my place in life where, you know, they've got a steady pastorate. They're in a great location, a great position, and everything's going well. And why would you throw out a steady paycheck and a church that loves you to go to a church that may throw you out on your ear tomorrow? Why would anybody do that? And the only answer I have is, I feel like God has put it on my heart to do so. I feel like I've been uniquely gifted to do so. And so what I'll be doing is I'll be traveling around for the first few months, going to churches and sharing what I do. And hopefully those churches will take me on and support me as a missionary of their church. So it will be kind of like, instead of going and planning a new church, which churches typically get behind and pay somebody to do, they'll be voting to support me to go to an existing church that maybe is, well, it's definitely on the decline, and try to turn it around and make it viable, healthy church again. And so I'll be traveling around and trying to raise support for that. Now, once I get some support, because none of these churches will be able to pay me very much, if at all. So I'm going from a steady paycheck, a steady church, everything's good, to no income, and I'm looking for churches where nobody else wants to go. I mean, that's basically what's happening here. So what does that mean for y'all? You watch my channel, you tune in, you comment, you know, how does that affect you? So what? You're still a preacher. You're still doing what you were doing, but actually it will affect you, because I've kind of let the channel go away. I haven't done much for videos. Most of my videos have been short. Most of my videos I haven't really put a whole lot into them, and I haven't done as many as I normally do. And it's just because I was very busy at church. I was very busy in some other activities, and this is just a hobby. This is something I enjoy doing. This is how I like to get together with y'all and visit and go back and forth. And just to be honest, I didn't have time to do that. So now that I'm not pastoring a church, now that I'm traveling around, now that I'm working in these smaller churches, YouTube will not just be tackle box money. That's what I always called it, was tackle box money. I bought ammo with it, or it never amounted to more than a couple $100 a month in revenue. And most of the time it was closer to $100 a month. But when you don't have any income, man, $100 a month is a blessing. So I will be doing more videos. I'll be putting more time into my videos. I'll be posting them more often, and also I'll be traveling more often. I'll be going to 3 different states in the next 2 months to preach. So I may try to make that available if I'm near where some of you live. I've always had people say, I'd love to hear you preach sometime. Well, could very well be that I'm preaching near you somewhere. So if that's something you'd be interested in, you can just let me know your general location. And if I end up there presenting in a church there, I'd love to meet with you and put a name with a face and, visit. I enjoy, every time I go on vacation, I try to meet up with subscribers or fellow creators from YouTube. And I enjoy that. It's really a joy for me to do it. And so I would love to, if I'm in your area preaching in a church near you, hey, it may help you find a church in your area. So that's something to be thinking about. So let me catch up on this side chat here. If you've got questions about what I've been doing or what I'm going to be doing, just put them in the side chat and I'll try to get to them. So what you've all covered what I ate. Now talking about what I've been doing. Andy, you do know what I mean. You are a preacher yourself. You understand what's going on and you know the difficulties of where I'm headed. Yes, I do get to stay here. I will still be a member of Lee Creek, the church that I've pastored. They will be supporting me. I mean, they're not happy to see me go. I love them. They loved me being their pastor. But in reality, they know that while I was the pastor at Lee Creek, I was working with pastors of other churches, working with other churches, and it just grew to the point where it was taking all of my time during the week ministering to other churches, and then I felt like I was neglecting my duties at Lee Creek, and I just couldn't keep juggling both. I had to make a decision, and I really felt the draw all along to help small, struggling churches. And when I came to Lee Creek 14 years ago, the church was only 13 years old, and I was their sixth pastor. So I was pastor number 6, and in a church that was 13 years old. So, you're talking about a 2-year average and for a pastor to stay. And so by staying there over time, a lot of the issues that the church had got corrected. And I feel like the church is in good shape, and we'll find another pastor. And then I'll be able to go out and hopefully, with the Lord's blessing, do that some more. And so I'll basically be working once I raise some support. I've got to go raise some support. But once I get that done, I'll basically be working in Western Arkansas, Eastern Oklahoma, Northwest Arkansas to about Central Western Arkansas, and then the same side of Oklahoma, an hour drive from the border either way. With your style, it will work. Thanks, Uncle Jim. I pray that it does. I feel like the Lord's gifted me to do that. Andy, I will be working the River Valley, but I'll also be available. Northwest Arkansas is just, I can be in Fayetteville from my house in about 45 minutes. I can be anywhere in Northwest Arkansas in about an hour and a half. So I would be more than willing to go up there if the need arose. Thank you, Chicken Coop, for the prayers. Waterloo, Iowa. If I ever end up in Iowa, believe me, I'll let you know. Preacher drama will sell on cable. Yeah, it would. Connecticut, I don't know anybody up there other than you and CW. Alaska needs a good preacher. I'm sure they do. Thanks, Austin. Is there any way you could help me financially? Yeah, you could. You could send support to Lee Creek Baptist Church and then just put my name in the memo line of a check, and it'll go directly to me. There is an account at Lee Creek set up to fund my ministry, and money that comes into that account goes there. So the address that I use, if you've sent stuff to me, it's P.O. Box 6516, Van Buren, Arkansas. That is the church address. And I have stuff sent there because the church doesn't have a mailbox, physical mailbox. I live out in the country. Mail here is not real reliable. So I have everything sent to the church mailbox. And since I'll still be working out of the church mailbox, the church office, I just won't be the pastor anymore. That's where financing would go. Tour on a mini bike. Oh, I don't know. That'd be a little hard on a fat guy. That might make great video, though. Will you be working with any organization, or will you be on your own? Thanks for the videos. My wife and I really enjoy them. Dylan, I will not be working like with the Southern Baptist Convention or a particular Baptist association. I'll just simply be operating out of Lee Creek Baptist Church. So the church that I used to pastor will have the authority and the oversight over me. They'll be the ones that handle my financing, and that'll be who I'm accountable and answer to. But I'll be available to work with any I would say any Baptist church. Obviously, if I went to a Pentecostal church, we would have some doctrinal differences. We'd have some disagreements over how the church should function. So my primary focus, being a Baptist preacher, will be trying to help Baptist churches. So you're in West Virginia. Well, if I ever get out that way, I will let you know. Believe me. That's the norm now, bro. Unfortunately, I know. Thank you, Deer Creek Outdoors. I wear these kind of shirts because they always get me into a gospel conversation with somebody. It's honorable for you to help spread the gospel, help struggling churches survive, especially today's time. Yeah. Thank you very much, T and Me TV. I appreciate that. And like I said, I'm not on here fishing for funds or support. I just want you to know that a lot of you listen to my sermons from Lee Creek Baptist Church. A lot of people have, they associate me with the church. A lot of subscribers, when traveling down I-40, have came to church over the years. And so they've stopped in there. And if any of you stop in Lee Creek in the next month or so, you're not going to find me. And so I want you to know that I haven't resigned the pastor or the pulpit. I don't want you to think I'm no longer preaching. I just want you to know what's going on. And so when you see me traveling, if you see me in Kentucky or you see me in Oklahoma, I'm probably driving there to preach somewhere, share with that church what exactly my ministry is. And if there's a good barbecue joint anywhere around those churches, well, I'll try to sniff that out and see if I can't eat there and do a barbecue review while I'm out traveling around. But once I get the money raised, and I don't know how much I'll raise, but once I've exhausted all the churches that I'm familiar with and receive all the support I'm going to get, then I'll probably find a job to make up the difference. Hopefully YouTube revenue will make up some of that. You know, I'm realistic. I make usually under 200 on YouTube, but I'm going to do more videos just because it is a monthly contribution to what I do. So Daniel, latecomers, what's going on? I made deer meat roll for lunch, but I guess that's what I'd call it. I don't know what I'd call that. I'm going to be going into church revitalization full time, be trying to turn around some small struggling Baptist churches. That'll be my goal. And I'll primarily be working with small struggling churches in Western Arkansas and Eastern Oklahoma. Last comment was for Tommy. This is Teresa. I'm from 56 Arkansas. That is awesome. I bet there's very few people on YouTube who know where 56 Arkansas is. And I actually won't be far from there. I'll be in Marshall. I'll be preaching in Marshall, Arkansas, I believe Sunday after next. So that's great. Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate that, Teresa. All right, we're pushing up on 30 minutes. We've got about 7 or 8 minutes left. If you've got any questions or comments you want to get in, you do it now. I was just going to do a 30-minute, kind of treat it like a lunch, set up a table, and just have lunch and cook something different and see how it turned out. And hey, I'm going to be honest with you. Butterflying this deer out and then stuffing it with peppers and onions and salami and cheese and Italian seasoning. Man, that is delicious. I think the only thing I would do different is next time I'd do the whole back strap. I'd roll the whole back strap out and just lay down salami or ham. I was just trying to find some kind of meat that was thin sliced that I could roll up. But I would lay down ham. I would lay down cheese, peppers, onions, Italian seasoning, and just roll that up. I wanted to tie it with string, but I didn't have any string, so I had to take a skewer and kind of weave it through the open end. Man. One more bite. I'm telling you guys, you can see the peppers in there and the cheese. It's so tender, it almost chews itself. All right, let's see if we got any questions. About 4 or 5 minutes left. Safe travels. Thank you, MCK. I know Marshall as well as Big Flat and Mountain View. Hey, man, North Central Arkansas. I used to go from the time I was a little kid. We went up to Calico Rock and used to trout fish all the time. We had friends that lived in our area that had a house right on the river outside of Calico Rock, and I drove up through there a lot. And beautiful, beautiful country up there. Well, we're wrapping it up, Kelly. You may have to just back up and catch the beginning of it once we get off here. Next video, stuffing a backstrap. That's what it should be called. It should be called stuffed backstrap, because that's basically what I did. I just unrolled a backstrap and stuffed it full of peppers, onions, meat, and cheese, and loaded it back up. And I knew I've never had it this way before, but I knew what I wanted to accomplish. And what happens is with deer meat, when you cook it a long time, it just dries out. But by having the ham and the cheese and the peppers, tomatoes, onions, all of that added moisture. And man, it is just fall apart tender. I'm not a big fan of salads, but I've been on a diet. And if you want to eat more salads, the key to it is you need to make your own dressing. So let me tell you about this dressing. I've got a video on making ranch dressing. I did it a couple of years ago, and it's very good. But what I do is ranch dressing is basically a mixture of buttermilk, sour cream, and mayonnaise. Some people just use buttermilk and mayonnaise, but it's usually a cup of buttermilk, and then I usually do a cup mixed of sour cream and mayonnaise. So maybe a third of a cup of sour cream, 2/3 of a cup of mayonnaise, and then you just add ranch seasoning. You can get that out of a packet, or you can get your own dill and salt and pepper and mix it up yourself. And sometimes I do a packet, sometimes I do the regular, but just experiment with those ratios of buttermilk, sour cream, and mayonnaise, and then whatever seasonings you like. And if you make a good ranch dressing, man, you can put it over anything and it's edible. So very good. All right, we're coming up on the end of the live here. Let me run down this list. I made pepper powder out of some of my hot sauce. Oh, from my Casabella peppers this weekend. Yeah, what happens, Austin, is if you don't dehydrate them enough, they'll get cakey. They're not really bad. They just, a little bit of moisture causes them to stick together. But that's good. I've got 1.5 gallons of peppers in various stages of fermenting over there. I've got some jalapenos that I put on last Saturday, and then I've got some Tibetan chilies, 1/2 gallon of each. One I started about 3 weeks ago, and one I started about 6 weeks ago. And so I'm going to blend those up and add vinegar and make hot sauce out of that soon. I'm sure everyone on the channel will be praying for your new endeavors. Good luck, brother. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. Sister lives in Calico Rock. That's awesome. I love meeting people from the backwoods of Arkansas like me. Thank you, Gibson. I appreciate that. One of the things you can do, Austin, when you make your own hot sauce, instead of just adding regular white vinegar, is get some white wine vinegar. It's clear, just like regular vinegar. It won't cloud it up like, say, apple cider vinegar would, but it's got a sweetness to it. And that will really change and alter the flavor of a hot sauce if you go with white wine vinegar instead of regular. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for watching, Braden. I appreciate it. I hope people will find your channel and hope you'll get out and do some fishing somewhere soon. God bless you, bro. Safe travels. I will add you to our prayer list tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night will be my last Wednesday night. This Sunday will be my last Sunday. Andy, I'll probably get in touch with you the next time I'm up in Northwest Arkansas. We'll try to get together, maybe eat lunch or something. If I can catch you during the day, we'll try to do that. All right, guys, we've gone over 30 minutes. So just to sum up real quick, stuffed deer backstrap for lunch with a garden salad and some homemade ranch dressing. And it was very good. The change, as I'm no longer going to be the pastor of Lee Creek, I'll be going around working to help revitalize struggling churches, help them find a pastor. The other part of my ministry, I will be helping vacant churches with a vacant pulpit with no pastor. I'll be helping those churches find a replacement. So I try to help pastors find like-minded churches. And then what I've been doing for the last probably 9 or 10 years, I'll be helping to encourage and work with pastors and support them. So I'll continue to do those things. I just won't be a pastor. I'll be raising my own missionary support and working to make up the difference. And part of that working is more YouTube videos. So if you enjoy the channel, if you have a video you'd like for me to do, by all means, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. It is good to have a community of people on YouTube that you can run into and meet. And I look forward to meeting y'all, and I'll keep you posted about my travel schedule. So if you're in the area, maybe we can all go to church together, and maybe you can recommend a barbecue joint in that area. Anyways, see you guys on the next video. Thank you.